Story time is starting now. Mrs. Claus will show us how. Tales of wonder, tales of fun. Come and join in, everyone.
Hello, children. Welcome to Mrs. Claus's story time. Today, I'm going to tell you another one of my very favourite stories. It's called Jack and the Beanstalk, and it's all about a little boy who finds some magic beans. Isn't that exciting? I'd love to find some magic beans. So, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then I shall begin the story. Once upon a time, there was a poor boy named Jack who lived with his mother in a tiny cottage at the edge of the village. They didn't have much at all, and their only treasure was a gentle brown cow named Daisy. Every morning, Daisy gave them milk to drink and to sell, but one day she stopped giving milk altogether. Jack's mother sighed and said, "Oh, Jack, we have no choice. You're going to have to take Daisy to the market and sell her. Please make sure you get a fair price for her, for she's all we have left." So Jack set off down the lane, leading Daisy by her rope. Her little bell tinkled as they walked. Along the way they met a cheerful old man with twinkling eyes. "Oh, that's a fine cow you have there," the man said. Jack explained sadly that Daisy no longer gave milk and he must sell her. The man leaned closer. "Then perhaps I can help. I don't have coins in my pocket, but I have something far more valuable. 5 magic beans. Plant them tonight, and by morning you'll be seeing wonders." Jack's eyes grew wide. Without thinking too long, he agreed. He sadly handed Daisy over, and he tucked the beans carefully into his pocket. But when he hurried home and proudly showed his mother, she was horrified. "Beans? You gave away our cow for beans?" she cried. She tossed them out of the window and sent Jack to bed without any supper. Jack lay awake, his tummy rumbling, and wondered if he'd made a terrible mistake. The next morning when he opened the curtains, he gasped. Right outside their cottage, a giant beanstalk had sprouted, reaching into the sky. Its stalk was as thick as a tree trunk. Its leaves were as wide as blankets. Up and up and up it climbed, disappearing into the clouds. Mother, look! The beans really are magic!" And before she could stop him, Jack had run out, grabbed hold of the beanstalk, and began to climb. He climbed higher and higher and higher, past the cottage roof, past the treetops, up through the clouds, until at last he pulled himself into the strange land above the sky. In the distance stood a castle, so tall that the turrets brushed the clouds. Jack tiptoed closer and knocked on the enormous door. Boom, 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 boom. A kind giant woman opened it and gasped, "A boy? Oh, quickly, come inside, but hush. My husband is a giant and he doesn't much like visitors." Jack slipped inside, and the kitchen around him was bigger than any barn. Pots were as large as barrels. Chairs were as tall as trees. But suddenly the ground shook. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy footsteps thundered across the floor. The woman pushed Jack into a cupboard. The giant stomped in, sniffing the air. "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Jack trembled, but the woman chuckled nervously. Oh, nonsense, my dear. You can just smell my stew." The giant grumbled, ate his breakfast, and then called for his stolen treasures. And onto the table came a hen that laid golden eggs, each one gleaming like the sun. Then came a golden harp that played on its own. The sound was so sweet that Jack could hardly believe his ears. Soon the giant grew drowsy and his eyelids grew heavy, and he began to snore so loudly that the whole room shook. Jack crept out of the cupboard, gently picked up the hen and the harp, and tiptoed out of the door. But unfortunately he tripped on the rug and made a horrible sound. The giant woke up with a roar. "Fee-fi-fo-fum! Stop, thief!" he bellowed, and thundered after Jack. Jack dashed to the beanstalk and scrambled down as fast as he could, clutching the hen and the harp. The giant followed, but he was so heavy that the stalk swayed and bent beneath him. Jack's mother saw him and cried out, "Jack, hurry!" Jack reached the ground just in time. The giant looked down, realised how very high he was, and gave a nervous gulp. "This is no place for me," he shouted, and he climbed back up into the clouds and never returned. Jack and his mother kept the hen and the harp safe until they were returned to the rightful owners in the village, who had lost them a long time ago. The people were so grateful that they shared food and kindness, and from that day on, Jack and his mother never went hungry again. And what of Daisy the cow? Well, a few weeks later, the very same old man came knocking at their door. And who should be standing beside him but Daisy herself, looking as happy as ever, her bell jingling at the neck. "I told you those beans were magic," said the man with a smile. "And I promised you no harm would come to your cow Daisy. She just needed a good holiday. She's yours again." Jack and his mother were overjoyed. They hugged Daisy, and from that day on, she never stopped producing milk. And with Daisy in the field, the kindness of their neighbours, and the memory of their great adventure, Jack and his mother lived happily ever after. Jack never forgot what he'd learned, that bravery is important, but that honesty and kindness are the greatest treasures. And the giant, he stayed high above the clouds, where he could grumble and snore to his heart's content without ever troubling anyone again. The end. Oh, I do like that story. I think the giant is so funny, and I think Jack is so brave. Fancy climbing that great big beanstalk. Well, boys and girls, that's the end of our story time today. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope you'll join me again next time. But until then, I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.
Now the story's tucked away. We had magic here today.